Hey everybody, it's me Stacy here at Scrapbooking Made Simple with another YouTube demo for you today. Now I know it's been about a month since my last YouTube demo, but a lot's been going on, a lot with my mom and my dad. So I just want to say thank you to all of you who have been so supportive during all of this and sending good thoughts and well wishes. I really appreciate it. But I am really excited that this morning I have time to come in and do a YouTube demo for you today. Now, this morning is the last day of the Chicago CHA show, and the CHA show is where we retailers get to go and buy all the products that you're going to be seeing released from the manufacturers over the next 6 months. So all the things you're going to want to buy, we get to go and shop for them now. I am so excited that we have some of that product that's being displayed right this minute. Retailers are looking at it right this minute. We already have it in-house, in the store, online, ready to sell. That's just amazing. So without further ado, I am so excited to bring you a product from Sizzix, their new Framelits. And we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to scroll on down. Okay? Bye. Down we go. All right. So here we are, the new Sizzix Framelits. Now, I know some of you are going to look at them and go, well, that looks like a Spellbinder die. And it does kind of look like a Spellbinder die. It is a wafer die. It is a chemically etched die, and that's what Spellbinder dies are made, or how they're made. But a lot of dies are chemically etched dies, so not just Spellbinders, but several different manufacturers do dies this way. What's different about them, though, is really important, and I want to show you that because there is a difference. Now, the best way for me to do that is to show you a Spellbinder die. And this is one of their circles, and you can see the cutting edge right here. That's what cuts your paper, that little ridge right there. I know it looks so small, but yes, it cuts your paper. It is centered in between the base of the die. Can you see how it's centered right in between the width of the die? That's a Spellbinder die. Now what that means is that when you go to cut something, you're not going to get exactly what you see. You're going to get a little bit more because, of course, it's got this little extra edge inside the die before the actual cutting ridge. So when you cut, you're not going to just get what you see, you're going to get a little bit more. And that makes lining it up a little more difficult. The placement of exactly where you want it, is it centered, is it not centered, makes it a little more difficult because you've got to allow for that little extra ridge, that little extra cut, all the way around, that extra maybe 1/8 of an inch, all the way around. Now, Sizzix has come out with their own, the Framelits, and I want to show you the difference. The cutting edge is exactly on the inner side, the inner ridge of the die. So what you see is what you cut. There's no extra, there's no having to, okay, am I centered, is it go a little bit this way or a little bit this way? What you see is exactly what you cut, and that is brilliant. I love it. That means when you stamp something or when you emboss something like I did here, you don't have to worry or wonder, am I completely center? If you see it, that's what it's going to cut. So with a Spellbinder, you might need to finagle a little bit and cut it a couple times until you've got the circle exactly round, but not with the Sizzix Framelits. They're amazing for crafters, for card makers, for mixed media. Anybody who does any die cutting, you are going to want to have these Framelits. Sizzix has made it so easy for you. And that's what we're going to work on. We're going to work on that today. But quickly, I wanted to give you a reference as to size. So here would be a Spellbinder die. These are the large circles, large standard circles, versus the Sizzix Framelits. Can you see the size difference? It's quite a bit, and that's because Sizzix took full advantage of their 6-inch base on the big shot. Okay, so there's the circles. Here are the stars. Here is a Spellbinder star versus a Sizzix Framelit star. Can you see the size difference? Because it is quite a bit. And then we have the hearts. There's the Spellbinder heart versus the Sizzix Framelit heart. Now, Spellbinder Nestabilities run about $24.99. Sizzix Framelits, $19.99. Amazing. And some of them you get 8 dies. They're fabulous, and look at the size difference. So you're taking full use of your Sizzix Big Shot machine, the full use of the platform. I mean, this is a card size. You could cut this and hold it off the edge and make the most adorable card with this. These are just wonderful. So we're gonna get started with what we're doing today. And I have chosen this embossing set because I really like it. I love the circle here. It is a Sizzix embossing set, and it's called Folksy Circles and Fun Set. So just in case you have it, or if you don't, you know, you may want to acquire one. It's a really great set. Love it. And we're going to go ahead and use the framelits in the circles. Now, I'm going to start by going ahead and embossing my sheet here. I've got a piece of white core cardstock here by Creative Imaginations, and I'm going to put it in my embossing folder. Boy, I cut these right to the chinny chin chin, let me tell you. There's not much extra room there. And then of course we're going to be using our Big Shot machine because, as always, the Sizzix Big Shot machine is our die cutting machine of choice here at Scrapbooking Made Simple. And I say that kind of with a laugh because I get teased about that in the shop. So what's your favorite die cutting machine, Stacy? It is the Sizzix Big Shot machine. It is our machine of choice here at Scrapbooking Made Simple. Now, if you have the multi-purpose platform, you are going to be using it on tab 1 when you're doing embossing folders. If you have the solo shims, you do not need the wafer shim on the top to do your embossing folders. So I'm going to sandwich it in between the 2 clear cutting plates. I've got it there, and I'm going to send it on through. And just like that, we're embossed. Now, I'm going to open it up, and there's my embossing. Now, I could take my Sand It gadget right here and sand it on down to expose that white core. And when you do that, by the power of TV, this is what you get. Cute, isn't it? But we're not done. We can make it so much cuter. So now I'm going to use my framelits. And I'm going to take my large framelit here, and I'm going to put it over the top. And again, what you see is what you get. That's exactly what I'm going to cut. I'm going to take my clear plates, put it down, line it up exactly the way I want it, because again, what you see is what you get. And I'm going to take a Post-it note and kind of put it here, just to keep my die in place. Put my Post-it note down, and it'll keep my die and my paper in place. Sandwich it with another platform. So I've got my 2 cutting plates. And with wafer dies, if you're using your multi-purpose platform, you use all platforms together. You use it all the way closed. And if you're using a solo shim, you want to use all your solo shims. Okay, I've got it here, all lined up. Bring over my Big Shot machine and send it on through. And there we go. So let's see what we've got. Take off my plate. The paper just comes away so easy. And I've got a perfect cut from this to this. But we're not done yet. No, we're not done yet. We're going to continue to cut because I want to cut that center piece out. So I'm going to put it back down. I'm going to grab another one of my framelits. Let's see, I want this size here. I'm going to line it up with where I want it to cut. So I want to cut that center piece out. I've got it lined up. So what I see is what I'm going to cut. No more, no less. That's exactly what I'm going to cut. Again, maybe take a little Post-it note and just put it down just to keep your die in place. It helps a little bit. Take my my clear plate and right over the top, so I've got my sandwich. And send it on through. There we go. And let's see what we've got. Perfect. I've cut out the center, absolutely perfect. I even left, because you see exactly what you cut, I left the white ridge of the embossing folder. Now we're not done yet. I have this piece, and I want to cut one more. I want to cut one more, so I'm going to do the same thing. Lay it down, put my paper over it, my Post-it note, sandwich it, and send it through. And again, we have an absolute perfect cut. Now I'm going to use this, I'm going to show you what we made, and I need that piece. But I didn't want to waste by using a whole nother piece of cardstock, so I just took the center that came out of my embossing folder when I cut it and used that. And what did that leave me? It left me a beautiful little frame too that I could use for something completely different. Isn't that wonderful? I mean, the versatility is amazing. So then I want to show you quickly stamping. I've got my sheet of paper here, and I've got my stamp, cute little sentiment, and I've got my favorite ink in the entire world, Memento, because we use Copics here, and Memento is the most versatile ink. If you use Copics, if you don't use Copics, it just is a really versatile, wonderful ink. Because if you do use Copics and you decide to color later, you don't have to worry about it bleeding or smearing with your Copic markers. I'm going to go ahead and stamp on down. And lift. And I've got my sentiment. Now what am I going to do with my sentiment? I'm going to cut it out with my Framelit. And I have used like 4 sizes so far. And as you can see, I've lined it up. I'm going to line it up, and what you see is what you cut. There's no question about the placement. You do the placement. You make the placement. You don't have to worry, oh, it's going to be a little bit too big or a little bit, because you've got that extra edge like a Spellbinder. The Sizzix, again, the cutting blade is on the inside ridge. It's on the inside of the die. So what you see is what you cut. Absolutely amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and get my platform again. And I'm going to put my paper down, I'm going to put my die down, and I'm going to line it up perfectly, just the way I want it. Now for those of you who have been watching the blogs and everything, you know that Hero Arts is also coming out with framelits and stamps to match, and we have those all coming in from Sizzix. They're going to be in one package. They're beautiful. But for now, yes, you can use the stamps you have with the framelits to make the most of them. Put my 2 cutting plates, and again, my multi-purpose platform completely closed because we are using a wafer die, which is what framelits are. They're a wafer die, a chemically etched die, versus something like a steel rule die, which would be the big thick Sizzix that we carry, like the bigs and the original dies. I'm going to send it on through. And let's see what we've got. Perfect. It's centered, it's even, it's exactly what I wanted, and it was just that simple. Now you're saying, Stacy, what are you doing with all of these things? Well, I went ahead and I made a card using these pieces. And here's my Christmas card. So I used an embossing folder that you would never necessarily think to cut. I cut out the center circle here. I took the inner circle that was cut out of it and used it again to cut a smaller circle, which is here. And then I stamped a sentiment and did one more small circle to put on top. But that's what I made using the Sizzix Framelits. So, what did we learn today? We learned that chemically etched dies are wafer dies, and that they have a ridge on them. We learned that Spellbinders absolutely makes chemically etched dies, but that their ridge, their cutting ridge, is centered on the die versus on the inside of the die. And by Sizzix doing that, they've allowed you to cut exactly what it is you want to cut. What you see is what you cut. We know that that the chemically etched dies are really made for 1 or 2 sheets of paper. They're not going to do your grunge board. They're not going to do a heavy card or a heavy chipboard. It's really meant for paper, but by their nesting ability, you can just cut and cut and cut and just layer and layer and layer. And if you do take 2 and cut just like that, you can end up with a fabulous frame. You don't have to cut just solid pieces. You can put 2 dies together to cut frames. Fabulous, isn't it? I'm going to show you quickly some of the other shapes that we've got. And remember, these are $19.99, not $24.99. The tag or ticket is just so cute. And look at all the flowers. I mean, can you imagine crinkling these up and misting them? And you get 7 dies for $19.99. We've got a beautiful labels, which is very big in comparison to the Spellbinders labels. They've got the scallop squares. Again, it's much bigger than the Spellbinders scallop squares because Sizzix utilized their entire 6-inch platform. We've got the straight edge squares that will nest with them. We've got ovals and scalloped ovals, and probably some of my favorites, the banners. I just think that would make the cutest Christmas tree ever, don't you? I just love it. So the banners, along with the ones I had shown earlier, which are the hearts and stars and circles. And there's a scallop circle floating around here somewhere. And the large heart, the straight edge heart. So I hope you learned something today about the new Sizzix Framelits. Yes, we do have them in stock. Yes, they are available right now, even though CHA hasn't even ended yet. They are at scrapbooking-made-simple.com. Here's the card I made. I hope you had a great time. I'm just going to scroll on up to say goodbye. This is me, Stacy, at Scrapbooking Made Simple. Again, thanking everybody for watching us today, and I hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time, okay? Have a great day. Bye.